Hello everybody. Hello everybody, Cal Kimmy here, and I am here today to read the middle part of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And yes, I will keep calling it the Philosopher's Stone because it's the English version. If you wanted me to call it the Sorcerer's Stone, then, well, you should have wrote in the comment section that y'all wanted me to get the, the American version. Sorry, I paused for a moment. Y'all probably looking at the camera wondering, hey, why can't she pause? Well, it's just a bunch of screens popped up on my laptop and I was trying to exit out of them so I could see the camera. And anyway, like I said, I'm in the middle of this, which is chapter 6, because this thing has 17 chapters, and I felt like chapter 6 was the perfect chapter because this is when we go back to Hogwarts and, we fully get back into the world. Harry starts school, he meets his friends, and all that stuff. So here we go. Oh, and by the way, when this video comes out, I took a quiz in Harry Potter, and let me tell you, I think that quiz is rigged, because I had taken the quiz a while ago, and it already sorted me into Ravenclaw, so I guess it was like, no matter what answer you give, you're staying in Ravenclaw. But let me tell you, while I was taking that test, I was like, now I feel like more of a Hufflepuff than a Ravenclaw, because I barely got any answers about this correct. And that last test frustrated the heck out of me because it was doing emojis, right? And I have to guess I think I'm supposed to guess the places. Either I was to guess the places or I'm supposed to guess the teachers within that certain amount of time. But the problem was it was going too fast. It was going faster than I could read, and I need to read in order to answer the question. It was like, you gotta know this finger snapping fast. And I am not finger snapping fast. As many of y'all seen from my reaction videos, sometimes it takes me a little while to freaking, talk before the show shows it. That's why sometimes I gotta pause the video to tell you how I feel. So anyway, here we go. Alright, the journey from platform 9 3/4. Now I bet y'all are surprised. Y'all like, Kanisha, I thought you were mostly reading in silence and then just tell us you're in a monologue. Well, this is a big part of the book, so I think I'm just gonna read it and then tell you my dialogue. Okay? Page by page. So here we go. Harry's last month with the Dursleys wasn't fun. True Dudley was now so scared of Harry he wouldn't stay in the same room, while Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon didn't shut Harry in his cupboard, force him to do anything or shout at him. In fact, they didn't speak to him at all. Half terrified, half furious. They acted as though any chair with Harry in it was empty. Although this was an improvement in many years, it did become a bit depressing after a while. I don't blame you. I don't blame him for feeling a bit depressed. Because, can you imagine that? I mean, even though they treat him so horrible, at the end of the day, they're still, unfortunately, his family. So this ain't exactly the best situation to be in. Harry kept to his room with his new owl for company. He had decided to call her Hedwig, a name he had found in a history of magic. His school books were very interesting. He lay on his bed reading late into the night, Hedwig swooping in and out of the open window as she pleased. It was lucky that Aunt Petunia didn't come in to hug her anymore, because Hedwig kept bringing back dead mice. Every night before he went to sleep, Harry ticked off another day on the piece of paper he had pinned to the wall, counting down to September 1st. Yeah, So y'all don't remember? Yeah, that's when the year going back to Hogwarts starts, September 1st. But I bet many of you true Harry Potter fans know that, because I remember on that day everything was Harry Potter themed. My cousin even came back with some Hershey's chocolate, and on there was a Harry Potter logo on it. Too bad it was only one Hershey, because I really wanted more. After eating that one thing of Hershey, like, I really wanted more of it. Oh well. Anyway, here we go. On the last day of August, he thought he'd better speak to his aunt and uncle about getting to King's Cross Station next day. So he went down to the living room where they were watching a quiz show on television. He cleared his throat to let them know he was there, and Dudley screamed and ran from the room. I cannot wait till that is filmed, because that will be hilarious and I will be laughing every time. I might even just keep replaying that moment and I just keep laughing every time. Every time. Okay, focus, Kanisha, focus. Uncle Vernon grunted to show he was listening. I need to be at King's Cross tomorrow to go to Hogwarts. Uncle Vernon grunted again. Would it be alright if you gave me a lift? Grunt. Harry supposed that meant yes. Thank you. He was about to go upstairs when Uncle Vernon actually spoke. Funny way to get a wizard school, the train. Magic carpets all got punctured. Harry didn't say anything. Where is this school anyway? I don't know, said Harry, realizing this was his time. He pulled out his ticket Hagrid had given him out of his pocket. I just take the train from platform 9 3/4 at 11 o'clock, he read. His aunt and uncle stared. Platform what? 9 3/4? Don't talk rubbish, said Uncle Vernon. There is no platform 9 3/4. I don't blame Uncle Vernon for feeling that way. I mean, that's how Harry reacted in the movie version too. It's like, Hagrid, there must be some kind of mistake. This ticket says platform 9 3/4. There's no such thing, is there? I just love how funny it is that Hagrid just disappears after that. It's on my ticket, barking, said Uncle Vernon. Howling mad, the lot of them, you'll see. You just wait. Alright, we'll take you to King's Cross. We're going up to London tomorrow anyway. Or I wouldn't bother. Why are you going to London? Harry asked, trying to keep things friendly. Taking Dudley to the hospital, growled Uncle Vernon. Got to have that ruddy tail removed before he goes to Smelton's. Well, I mean, very true. Unless you want to try and be like, you know, it's a fake tail, you know. It's just a costume. Harry woke at 5 o'clock the next morning and was too excited and nervous to go back to sleep. He got up and pulled on his jeans because he didn't want to walk into the station in his wizard robe. He changed on the train. He checked his Hogwarts list yet again to make sure he had everything he needed. Saw the Hedgewing was shut safely in her cage, and then paced the room, waiting for the Dursleys to wake up. 2 hours later, Harry's huge, heavy trunk had been loaded into the Dursleys' car, and Petunia had talked Dudley into sitting next to Harry, and they had set off. They reached King's Cross at 10:30. Hang on. Here we are. Okay, let's get to... They reached King's Cross At 10:30, Uncle Vernon dumped Harry's trunk onto a trolley and wheeled it into the station for him. Harry thought this was strangely kind until Uncle Vernon stopped dead, facing the platforms with a nasty grin on his face. "Well, there you are, boy. Platform 9, platform 10. Your platform should be somewhere in the middle, but they don't seem to have built it, do they?" He was right, of course. There was a big plastic number 9 over one platform and a big plastic number 10 over one next to it, and in the middle nothing at all. "Have a good term," said Uncle Vernon with an even nastier smile. He left without another word. Harry turned and saw the Dursleys drive away. All three of them were laughing. Harry's mouth went rather dry. What on earth was he going to do? He was starting to attract a lot of funny looks because of Hedwig. He'd have to act someone. He stopped a passing guard, but didn't mention platform 93 The guard had never heard of Hogwarts, and when Harry couldn't even tell him what part of the country it was in, he started to get annoyed, as though Harry was being stupid on purpose. Getting desperate, Harry asked for the train that left at 11 o'clock, but the guard said there wasn't one. In the end, the guard strode away, muttering about time wasters. Harry was now trying hard not to panic. According to the large clock over the arrivals board, he had 10 minutes left to get on the train to Hogwarts, and he had no idea how to do it. He was stranded in the middle of the station with a trunk he could hardly lift, a pocket full of wizard money, and a large owl. Hagrid must have forgotten to tell him something you had to do, like tapping the third brick on the left to get into Diagon Alley. He wondered if he should get out his wand and start tapping the ticket box between platforms 9 and 3/4. At that moment, a group of people passed just behind him, and he caught a few words of what they were saying, packed with mugs, of course. Harry swung around. The speaker was a plump woman who was talking to 4 boys, all of them with flaming red hair. Each of them was pushing a trunk like Harry's in front of them. They had it out, hard hammering. Harry pushed his trolley after them. They stopped, and so did he, just near enough to hear what they were saying. "Now, what's the platform number?" 9 3/4, piped a small girl, also red-headed. Who was holding your hand? "Mom, can't I go?" "You're not old enough, Ginny. Now be quiet." "All right, Percy, you go first." What looked like the oldest marched towards platforms 9 3/4. Harry watched carefully not to blink in case he missed it. But just as the boy reached the divide between the two platforms, a large crowd of tourists came swarming in front of him. And by the time the last rucksack had cleared away, the boy had vanished. "Fred, you're next," the plump woman said. "I'm not Fred, I'm George," said the boy. "Honestly, Mommy, you promised so hard, Mother. Can't you tell him, George?" "Sorry, George, dear." So far, I love both the book and the movie version of meeting the Weasleys. Although it is different in here because even though in the movies they do show Percy, they don't show Percy in this part. I don't know why, but in the movie, for some weird reason, they exclude that Percy went. They exclude that the Molly had said Percy, you first, yeah, and just skip to the part with it. They just skip with him already going through there, and then to have her talk to the twins. So I don't know why they skipped it. "Only joking, I am Fred," said the boy, and off he went. His twin man called after him to hurry up, and he must have done, because a second later he had gone. But how had he done it? Now the third brother was walking briskly towards the ticket barrier. He was almost there, then quite suddenly he was anywhere. There was nothing else for it. "Excuse me," Harry said to the plump woman. "Hello, dear," she said. "First time at Hogwarts? One's new, too." She pointed at the last and youngest of her sons. He was tall, thin, and gangly, with freckles, big hands and feet, and a long nose. "Yes," said Harry. The thing is, I don't know how to get onto the platform," she said kindly, and Harry nodded. "Not to worry," she said. "All you have to do is walk straight at the barrier between platforms 9 and 10. Don't stop and don't be scared. You'll crash into it. That's very important. Best do it at a bit of a run if you're nervous. Go on now before Ron." Okay," said Harry. He pushed his trolley round and stared at the barrier. It looked very solid. He started to walk towards it. People jumped to him on their way to platforms 9 and 10. Harry walked more quickly. He was going to smash right into the ticket box. Then he'd be in trouble. Leaning forward on his trolley, he broke into a heavy run. The barrier was coming nearer and nearer. He wouldn't be able to stop. The trolley was out of control. He was a foot away. He closed his eyes, ready to crash. It didn't come. He kept on running. He opened his eyes. The Scarlet Steam engine was waiting next to the platform, packed with people. A sign overhead said Hogwarts Express, 11 o'clock. Harry looked behind him and saw a wrought iron. I know I said that wrong. Archway. Sorry. I don't know how I messed that up. With the ticket box had been, with the words platform and 9 3/4 on it. He had done it. Smoke from the engine drifted on the heads of the chattering crowd, while cats of every color wound here and there between their legs. Owls hooted to each other in a disgruntled sort of way over the babble, the scrapping of heavy trunks. The first few carriers were already packed with students, some hanging out of the window to talk to their families, some fighting over seats. Harry pushed his trolley off down the platform in search of an empty seat. He passed a round boy who was saying, "Gran, I've lost my toad again." "Oh, Neville," he heard the old woman sigh. A boy with dreadlocks was surrounded by a small crowd. "Give us a look. Lee, go on." The boy lifted the lid of a box in his arms, and the people around him shrieked and yelled as something inside poked out. A long, hairy voice. Harry pressed through the crowd until he found an empty compartment near the end of the train. He put Hedwig inside first, and then started to shove his trunk towards the train. He tried to lift it up the stairs, but could hardly raise one end, and twice he dropped it painfully on his foot. What a hand! It was one of the red-headed twins. He followed through the ticket box. "Yes, please," Harry panted. "Oh, Fred, come here and help." I meant to say, "Oi, Fred." My bad. I'm not. You will know this about me. I do not do accents. With the twins' help, Harry's trunk was at last tucked away in a corner of the compartment. "Thanks," said Harry, pushing his sweaty hair out of his eyes. "What's that?" said one of the twins, suddenly pointing to Harry's right next car. "Blimey," said the other twin. "Are you He is, said the first twin. Aren't you? He added. Here. What? Harry Potter, chorused the twins. Oh, him, said Harry. I mean, yes, I am. The boys gasped and Harry felt himself going red. Then to his relief, a voice came floating in, coming through the train's open door. Fred, George, are you there? Coming on. With a last look at Harry, the twins hopped off the train. Harry sat down next to the window where, half hidden, he could watch the red-headed family on the platform and hear what they were saying. Their mother had just taken out her handkerchief. Right, you've got something on your nose. The youngest boy tried to jerk out of the way, but then she grabbed him and began rubbing the end of his nose. Mom, girl! He wiggled free. Has Ickle Ronnie gotten something on his nosy? Said one of the twins. Shut up, said Ron. Where's Percy? Said their mother. He's coming down. The oldest boy came striding into sight. He had already changed into his belonging black Hogwarts robes, and Harry noticed a shining silver badge on his chest with the letter P on it. Yeah, that's the one thing the movies I don't really like, is the fact that they don't mention how much Percy, all the things that Percy did in the series that kind of are significant. But you know, they didn't have enough time for all that. They had to make some cuts somewhere. Can't stay long, Mother, he said. I'm up front. The prefects have got 2 compartments to themselves. Oh, are you a prefect, Percy? Said one of the twins with an air of great surprise. You should have said something. We had no idea. Hang on, I think I remember him saying something about it, said the other twin. Once or twice? A minute? All summer? Oh, shut up, said Percy the prefect. How come Percy gets new robes anyway, said one of the twins. Because he's a prefect, said the mother fondly. All right, dear. Well, have a good turn. Send me an owl when you get there. She kissed Percy on the cheek, and he left. Then she turned to the twins. Now you two, this year, you behave yourselves. If I get one more owl telling me you've blown up a toilet or blown up a toilet, we've never blown up a toilet. Great idea, thanks, Mom. It's not funny. And look after Ron. Don't worry, Ron and Kins is safe with us. Shut up, said Ron again. He was almost as tall as his already, and his nose was still pink where his mother had rubbed it. Hey, Mom, guess what? Guess who we just met on the train? Harry leaned back quickly so they couldn't see him looking. You know that black-haired boy who is near us in the station? Know who he is? Who? Harry Potter. Harry heard the little girl's voice. Oh, Mom, can I go on the train and see him, Mom? Oh, please. We've already seen him. You've already seen him, Ginny. And a poor boy isn't something you goggle at in a zoo. You goggle at in a zoo. Is he really, Fred? How do you know? Asked him. Saw his scar. It's really there, like lightning. Poor dear. No wonder he was alone. I wondered. He was ever so polite when he asked how to get on the platform. Never mind that. Do you think he remembers what Unicorn looks like? Their mother suddenly became very stern. I forbid you to ask him, Fred. No, don't you dare. As though he needs reminding of that on his first day. All right, keep your hair on. A whistle sounded. Hurry up, the mother said, and the 3 boys clambered onto the train. They leant out of the window for her to kiss the goodnight, and their younger sister began to cry. Don't, Ginny, we'll send you loads of owls. will send you a Hogwarts toilet seat. George, only joking, Mom. That's classic Weasleys there. Classic Weasleys. And I love every bit of this, man. The more I read this, the more I am happy that I started rereading Harry Potter. The train began to move. Harry saw the boy's mother waving, and their sister half laughing, half crying, running to keep up with the train until it gathered to a speed that she fell back and waved. Harry watched the girl and her mother disappear as the train rounded the corner. Houses flashed past the window. Harry felt a great leap of excitement. He didn't know what he was going to, but it had to be better than what he was leaving behind. The door of the compartment slid open, and the youngest red-headed boy came in. Anyone sitting there? He asked, pointing to a seat opposite Harry. Everywhere else is full. Harry shook his head, and the boy sat down. He glanced at Harry, then looked quickly out the window, pretending he hadn't noticed. He hadn't looked. Harry saw he still had a black mark on his nose. Hey, Ron, the twins were back. Listen, we're going down the middle of the train. Lee Jordan's got a giant tarantula down there, right? Mumbled Ron. Harry, said the other twin. Did we introduce ourselves? Fred and George Weasley. And this is Ron, our brother. See you later then. Bye, said Harry and Ron. The twins slid the compartment door shut behind them. Are you really Harry Potter? Ron blurted out. Harry nodded. Oh, well, I thought it might be one of Fred and George's jokes, said Ron. And have you really got you now? He pointed to Harry's forehead. Harry pulled back his fringe to show the light of the scar. Ron stared. So that's how you know her. Yes, said Harry. But I can't remember it. Nothing? Said Ron eagerly. Well, I remember a lot of green light, but nothing else. Wow, said Ron. He sat and stared at Harry for a few moments. Then, as though he suddenly realized what he was doing, he looked quickly out the window again. Are all your family wizards? Asked Harry, who found Ron just as interesting as Ron found him. Yes, I think so, said Ron. I think Mom's got a second cousin who's an accountant, but we never talk about him. So you must know loads of magic already. The Weasleys were clearly one of those old wizarding families the pale boy in Diagon Alley had talked about. I heard you went to live with Muggles, said Ron. What are they like? Horrible. Well, not all of them. My aunt and uncle and cousin are, though. Wish I'd had 3 wizard brothers. 5, said Ron. For some reason he was looking gloomy. I'm the 6th of the family to go to Hogwarts. You could say I've got a lot to live up to. Bill and Charlie have already left. Bill was head boy and Charlie was captain of Quidditch. Now Percy's a prefect. Fred and George mess around a lot, but they still get really good marks. Fred and George mess around a lot, but they still get really good marks, and everyone thinks they're really funny. Everyone except me to do as well as the others. But if I do, it's no big deal because they did it first. You never get anything new either with 5 brothers. I've got Bill's old robes, Charlie's old Ron, and Percy's old rat. Ron reached inside his jacket and pulled out a fat gray rat, which was asleep. His name's Scabbers, and he's useless. He hardly ever wakes up. Percy got an owl from my dad for being a prefect, but they can't, I got Scabbers instead. Ron's ears went pink. He seemed to think he said too much. because he went back to staring out the window. Harry didn't think there was anything wrong with not being able to afford it now. After all, he'd never had any money in his life until a month ago. He told Ron so, all about having to wear Dudley's old clothes and never getting proper birthday presents. It seemed to cheer Ron up. And until Hagrid told me, I didn't know anything about being a wizard or about inheritance or Voldemort. Ron gasped. What? Said Harry. You say you know whose name? Said Ron, sounding both shocked and impressed. I have thought you of all people. I'm not trying to be brave or anything saying the name, said Harry. I just never knew you shouldn't. See what I mean? I've got loads to learn, I bet, he added, voicing for the second time. First time. Something that had been worrying him a lot lately. I bet I'm the worst in the class. You won't be. There's loads of people who come from local families, and they learn quick enough. While they had been talking, the train had carried them out of London. Now they were speeding past fields full of cows and sheep. They were quiet for a time, watching the fields and lanes flick past. Around past 12, there were a giant clatter outside the corner and a smiling, dimpled woman sliding back their door and said, "Anything off the trolley, dears?" Harry, who hadn't had breakfast, leaped to his feet, but Ron's ears went pink again, and he muttered he brought sandwiches. Harry went out into the corridor. He had never had any money for sweets with the Dursleys, and now he had pockets rattling with gold and silver. He was ready to buy as many Mars bars as he could carry, but the woman didn't have Mars bars. What she did have were Bertie Bart's every favorite beans, Droople's best blowing gum, chocolate frogs, pumpkin pasties, cauldron cakes, rice wands. I think I was supposed to say licorice rice wands. Sorry, maybe it's licorice wands, and a number of other strange things Harry had never seen in his life. Not wanting to miss anything, he got some of everything and paid the woman a lift and silver sickles and set him brown goodness. Ron stared at Harry and brought it all back into the compartment and tipped it onto an empty seat. Hungry, are you? Starving, said Harry, taking a large bite of a pumpkin pasty. One had taken out a lumpy package and unwrapped it. There were 4 sandwiches in there. He pulled out one of them apart and said, "She always forgets I don't like corned beef, so I'll give you for one of those," holding out a pasty. "Go on." "You don't want this. It's all dry," said Ron. "She hasn't got much time." He added quickly, "You know, with the 5 of us." "Go on, have a pasty," said Harry, who had never had anything to share before, or indeed anyone to share it with. It was a nice feeling sitting there with Ron eating their way through all Harry's pasty and cakes. The sandwich lay forgotten. "What are these?" Harry asked Ron, holding up a pack of chocolate frogs. "They're not really frogs, are they?" He was starting to feel that nothing would surprise him. "No," said Ron. "But see what the card is. I'm missing Agrippa." "What?" "Oh, of course, you wouldn't know. Chocolate frogs have cards inside, you know, to collect. Famous witches and wizards. I've got 500, but I haven't gotten Agrippa or Toma, or maybe Potoma. I don't know how you say it." Harry unwrapped his chocolate frog and picked up the card. It showed a man's face. He wore half-moon glasses, had a long, crooked nose, and silver hair, beard, and mustache. Underneath the picture was the name Albus Dumbledore. "So this is Dumbledore," said Harry. Don't tell me you've never heard of Dumbledore, said Ron. Get on the frog. I might get Upper Ruby. Thanks. Harry turned over the card and read, Albus Dumbledore, currently headmaster of Hogwarts, considered by many the greatest wizard of modern times. Professor Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the dark wizard Grindelwald in 1945, for the discovery of the 12 uses of dragon's blood, and his work on alchemy with his partner Nicholas Flamel. Professor Dumbledore enjoys chamber music and 10-pin bowling. Harry turned the card back over and saw, to his astonishment, that Dumbledore's face had disappeared. He's gone. Well, you can't expect him to hang around all day, said Ron. He'll be back. No, I've got Morgana again. Got about 6 of her. Do you want it? You can start collecting. Ron's eyes strayed to the pile of chocolate frogs waiting to be unwrapped. Help yourself, said Harry. But the Muggle world people just stay put in photos. Do they? What? They don't move at all? Ron sounded amazed. Weird. Harry stared as Dumbledore slid back into the picture on his card and gave him a small smile. Ron was more interested in eating the frogs than looking at the famous witches and wizards, but Harry couldn't keep his eyes off them. Soon he had not only Dumbledore and Morgana, but Haggeist of Woodcroft, Alberic, Guardian, Cersei, Paracelsus, and Merlin. He finally tore his eyes away from the Druidians. I think. Guys, like I said, I am trying my best, but this is new to me. I haven't read these books in so long, and some of these I still don't know how you pronounce them. And there's a lot of, I got how many pages do I have? 3 pages to read, so this may take a while. Anyway, here we go. Let's see. He finally tore his eyes away from the Druidess Celadona, who was scratching her nose to open a bag of birthday Bart's every flavor beans. You want to be careful with those, Ron warned Harry. When they say every big flavor, they mean every flavor. You know, you get a lot of ordinary ones like chocolate and peppermint and marmalade, but then you get spinach and liver and tripe. George Rickensy had a bogey flavored one once. Ron picked a jelly bean, looked at it carefully, and bit into the corner. Bleh! See? Sprouts. They had a good time eating every flavor of beans. Harry got toast, coconut, baked beans, strawberry, curry, grass, coffee, sardines, and even brave enough to nibble off a funny gray one Ron wouldn't touch, which turned out to be pepper. Now that's it. Now I literally wish I gave Birdie Bart's every flavor beans and then make a video like the Super Colin Brothers did, where I try all of them just to know how many of all these taste and see how much they actually make the terrible ones actually taste terrible and the good ones actually taste good, because that would be crazy. I want to know what the pepper one tastes like. Like, does it really taste like pepper, or is it just taste like you know? Seriously, I just want to know. By the way, guys, I'm not promising y'all that I'm gonna read all this in this one sitting. I might have to split this into another video for tomorrow, because like I said, I can't promise you I'm gonna finish the whole entire thing today. Plus, because I kind of want to get to a show that I want to watch. Alright, let's see. There was oh, here we are. The countryside, now flying past the window, was becoming wilder. The neat fields had gone. Now there were woods twisting rivers and dark green hills. There was a knock on the door of their compartment, and the round-faced boy Harry had passed on the platform 9 3/4 came in. He looked tearful. "Sorry," he said, "but have you seen the toad at all?" When they shook their heads, he wailed, "I've lost him. He keeps getting away from me." "He'll turn up," said Harry. "Yes," said the boy miserably. "Well, if you see him," he laughed. "Don't know why he's so bothered," said Ron. "If I'd brought a toad, I'd lose it as quick as I could. Mind you, I brought Scabbers, so I can't talk." The rat was still snoozing on Ron's lap. "He might have died, and you wouldn't know the difference," said Ron in disgust. "I tried to turn him yellow yesterday to make him more interesting, but the spell didn't work. I'll show you. Look." They rummaged around in his trunk and pulled out a very battered-looking wand. It was chipped in many places, and something white was glistening at the end. Unicorn's hair nearly poking out anyway. He had raised his wand when the cupboard door slid open again. The toilet boy was back, but this time he had a girl on. She was already wearing her new little Hogwarts dress. "Has anyone seen a toad?" "Neville's lost one," she said. She had a bossy sort of voice, lots of bushy hair, and rather large front teeth. "We already told her we haven't seen it," said Ron, but the girl wasn't listening. She was looking at the wand at it. His hair. "Oh, are you doing magic? Let's see then," she said to Ron. "Take it back." All right." He cleared his throat. "Sunshine, Daisy, Buttonmellow, turn this stupid fat rat yellow." He waved his wand randomly up and Scabbers stayed very emphatically. "Are you sure that's a real spell?" said the girl. "Well, it's not very good, is it? I'm trying to feed a simple ones just for practice, and it's all worked for me. Nobody in the family's magic at all. It's ever such a surprise when I got my letter, but I'm ever so pleased. Of course, I mean, it's the very best school of witchcraft there is. I've heard, I've learned all set books by heart. Of course, I just hope it'll be enough. I'm already graduated, by the way. Who are you?" She said all this very fast. Harry looked at Ron and was relieved to see by his stunned face that he had learned all the set books off by heart. "I'm Ron Weasley," Ron muttered. "Harry Potter," said Harry. "Are you really, said Hermione? "I know all about you, of course. I got a few extra books for background reading, and you're in modern magical history and the rise and the fall of dark arts and great wizarding events of the 20th century." "Am I?" said Harry, feeling dazed. "Goodness, didn't you know? I'd have found everything I could if it were me. If it was me," said Hermione. "Do either of you know what house you'll be in? I've been asking around, and I hope I'm in Gryffindor. It sounds by far the best. I hear Dumbledore himself was one, but I suppose Ravenclaw wouldn't be too bad. Anyway, we better go and look for Neville's toad. You two had better change. You know, I expect we'll be there soon." She left, taking the toadless boy with her. "Whatever house I'm in, I hope she's not in it," said Ron. He threw his wand back into his trunk. "Stupid spell, George gave it to me. Bet he knew it was a dust." "What house are your brothers in?" asked Harry. "Gryffindor," said Ron. Gloom seemed to be settling on him again. "Mom and Dad were in it too. I don't know what they'll say if I'm not. I don't suppose Ravenclaw would be too bad, but imagine if they put me in Slytherin. That's the house of all, you know who was in." "Yeah," said Ron. He fought back into his seat, looking depressed. "You know, I think the ends of Scabbers' whiskers are a bit lighter," said Harry, trying to make Ron's mind off houses. "So, what do your oldest brothers do now that they've left anyway. Harry was wondering what a wizard did once he'd finished school. Charlie's in Romania studying dragons, and Bill's in Africa doing something for Gringotts, said Ron. Did you hear about Gringotts? It's been all over the Daily Prophet, but I don't suppose you get that with the muggles. Someone tried to rob a high security vault. Harry stared. Really? What happened to them? Nothing. That's why it's such big news. They haven't been caught. My dad says it must have been a powerful dark wizard to get round Gringotts, but they don't think they took anything. That's what's odd. Of course, everybody gets scared when something like this happens, in case you know who's behind it. I just love the monologue in this. It's just the talking between each other. It's just so much fun. Sorry about that, guys. This happens in case you know who's behind. Harry turned this news over in his head. He was staring to get a prickle of fear every time you know who was mentioned. He supposed this was all part of entering the magical world, but it had been a lot more comfortable since Voldemort was at one. What's your Quidditch team? Ron asked. I don't know any, Harry confessed. What? Ron looked dumbfounded. Oh, wait. Oh, you wait. It's the best game in the world. And he was off explaining all about 4 balls and the positions of 7 players, describing famous games he'd been to with his brothers, and the broomstick he'd like to get if he had money. He was just taking Harry through the finer points of the game when the compartment door slid open yet again. But it wasn't Neville the tallest boy or Hermione Granger this time. 3 boys entered, and Harry recognized the middle one at what? It was Pale Boy from Madame Malkin's robe shop. He was looking at Harry with a lot of interest. Then he shone back in Diagon Alley. Is it true, he said? They're saying all down the train that Harry Potter's in this compartment. So it's you, is it? Yes, said Harry. He was looking at the other boys. Both of them were thickest and looked extremely mean. Standing either side of the Pale Boy, they looked like bodyguards. Oh, this is Crabbe, and this is Voice. And then Pale Boy, carelessly noticing where Harry was looking. And my name is Malfoy, Draco Malfoy. Ron gave a slight cough, which might have been hiding a snicker. Draco Malfoy looked at him. Think my name's funny, do you? No need to ask who you are. My father told me all the Weasleys have red hair, freckles, and 4 children than they can afford. He turned back to Harry. You'll soon find out some wizarding families are better than others, Potter. You don't want to make friends with the wrong stuff. I can help you there. He held out his hand to shake Harry's, but Harry didn't take it. I think I can tell who the wrong sort are for myself, thanks, he said slowly. Draco didn't go red, but a pink tinge appeared in his pale cheeks. I'd be careful I were you, Potter, he said slowly, unless you're a bit polite. Yeah, politer. You'll go the same way as your parents. They didn't know what was good for them either. You hang around with riffraff like the Weasleys and that Hagrid, and it'll rub off on you. Both Harry and Ron stood up. Ron's face red as his hair. Say that again, he said. Oh, you're going to fight us, are you? Malfoy sneered. Unless you get out now, said Harry, more braver than he felt, because Crabbe and Goyle were bigger than him and Ron. But we don't feel like leaving, do we, boys? We've eaten all our food, and you still seem to have some. George reached towards the chocolate frogs next to Ron. Ron leaped forward, but before he so much as touched the boy let a horrible yell. Scabbers the rat was hanging off his finger. Sharp little teeth dig deep into Goyle's knuckles, crapping Malfoy back the way as Goyle swung Scabbers round and round howling, and then Scabbers finally flew off and hit the window. All three of them disappeared at once. Perhaps they thought there were more rats lurking around the suites, or perhaps they'd heard footsteps, because a second later Hermione Granger had come in. "What has been going on?" she said, looking at all the sweets all over the floor, and Ron picked up Scabbers by his tail. "I think he's been knocked down," Ron said to Harry. He looked closer at Scabbers. "No, I don't believe it. He's gone back to sleep." "And so he has. You've met Malfoy before?" Harry explained about their meeting in Diagon Alley. "I've heard of his family," said Ron darkly. "They were some of the first to come back to our side after you-know-who disappeared. They said they'd been bewitched. My dad doesn't believe it. He says Malfoy's father didn't need an excuse to go over to the dark side." He turned to Hermione. "Can we help you with something? You'd better hurry up and put on your robes. I've just been up to the front and to ask the driver, and he says we're nearly there. You haven't been fighting, have you? You'll be in trouble before we even get there." "Scabbers has been fighting, not us," said Ron, scowling at her. "Would you mind leaving while we change?" "All right. I only came in here because people outside are behaving very childish, racing up and down the corridors," said Ron, said Hermione in a sniffy voice. "And you've got dirt on your nose, by the way. Did you know?" Ron glared at her as she left. Harry peered out the window. It was getting dark. He could see mountains and forests under a deep purple sky. The train did seem to be slowing down. You know, Hermione is not as annoying. Hermione is annoying, and she's a bit snobbish. But you know, she isn't as annoying as the movie was making her to be the first time that they met her. Anyway, the train did seem to be slowing down. He and Ron took off their jackets and pulled on their long black robes. Ron's were a bit short for him. You could see his trainers underneath them. A voice echoed through the train. "We'll be reaching Hogwarts in 5 minutes' time. Please leave your luggage on the train. It will be taken to school separately." Harry's stomach lurched with nerves, and Ron, he saw, looked pale under his freckles. They crammed their pockets with the last of sweets and joined the crowd thronging the corridor. The train slowed right down and finally stopped. People pushed their way through the door and out to a tiny, dark platform. Harry shivered in the cold night air. Then a lamp came bubbling over the heads of the children, and Harry heard a familiar voice. First years over here. All right there, Harry." Hagrid's big, hairy face beamed over the sea of heads. "Come on, follow me. Any more first years? Mind your step now. First years, follow me." Slipping and stumbling, they followed Hagrid down what seemed to be a steep, narrow path. It was dark either side of them, but Harry thought it would be thick trees there. Nobody spoke much. Neville, the boy who kept losing his toad, sniffed once or twice. "Y'all get your sight of Hogwarts in a sec," Hagrid called over his shoulder. "Just round this bend here." There was a loud woo. The narrow path had opened suddenly onto the edge of a great black lake, perched on top of a high mountain on the other side, its windows sparkling in the starry night side with a vast castle with many turrets and towers. No more forward to a boat, Edgar called, pointing to a fleet of little boats sitting in the water by the shore. Harry and Ron were followed into their boat by Neville and Hermione. Everyone in, shouted Hagrid, which had a boat to himself right then forth. And then a fleet of little boats moved all at once, gliding across the lake, which was as smooth as glass. Everyone was silent, staring up the giant castle overhead. It towered over them as it sailed nearer and nearer to the cliff on which it stood. Heads down, yelled Hagrid as the first boat reached its cliff. They all bent their heads, and the little boats carried them through a curtain of ivy, which had a wide opening in the cliff face. They were carried along the dark tunnel, which seemed to be taking them right under the castle, until they reached a kind of underground harbor where the cliff went out onto the rocks and pebbles. "Boy, you there! Is this your toad?" said Hagrid, who was checking the boats as people climbed out. "Trevor!" cried Neville blissfully, holding out his hand. Then they clambered up a passageway in the rock after Hagrid's lamp, coming out at last on smooth, damp grass right in the shadow of the castle. They walked a flight of stone steps and crowded around the huge oak front door. "Everyone here? You there? Still got your toes?" Hagrid raised a giant fist and knocked 3 times on the castle door. And that is the end of chapter 6. And let me tell you how I feel about it. It was a great introduction to the Weasley family. It was a great introduction to how Ron and Harry first met and how Ron and Harry met Hermione. And like I said, the difference between book and movie is, yeah, Hermione comes back a second time. And, yeah, Draco re-meets Harry on the train with Crabbe and Goyle, and they try and steal the candy. It seems Malfoy didn't take very kindly to the fact that Harry didn't want to accept his friendship. And I do love that Harry and Ron both stood up like they became fast friends. Harry was really about to get into a fight with his He really was about to get into a fight with his new friend. He was really about to get into a fight with his new friend, being like, you aren't going to talk about my new friend's family like that. I love both parts in both the book and the movie. Well, obviously, because there's more. I like the book better, where it's more of Ron, that intense moment. Like, it would have been just as fun in the movies if there was that intense moment with Ron, where instead of just laughing at Draco's name, he also was like, I dare you to say that. See, that's the difference, because in the movie, they were already at the castle when this scene happened. But in the book, they're still on the train. So it would have been funny, even if they were still at the castle, it would have been funny for when McGonagall left, for Ron to be like, I dare you to say that again about my family. Like, seriously. That's one thing I hate about that's one thing I feel like many people hate about the movies, is they made Ron more of a funny character and easily tempered, but like, they only give him a few times where he actually stands up for himself. This would have been a perfect moment to include in the movies, but I guess they didn't have enough time for that. Too bad though. It really would have been a fun thing to include in the movies as well. I really can't wait to see how they film that for the TV series, because that will be fun. Anyway, like I said, I really like it. I like, Ron giving his backstory of like what it's like to have like 7 brothers and everything. Too bad he doesn't explain much about Ginny, because I definitely would like to know in the book more of like what Ginny is like, besides the fact that she really wants to go to Hogwarts, even though she's not of age just yet. And anyway, I just love how egotistical freaking Draco is in the beginning, thinking that acting like that was really gonna get him in good terms with Harry. It's hilarious because at first you think with him talking like this, he did not remember meeting Harry earlier and thinks that those two are the boy he met earlier and Harry are 2 completely different people. But no, he recognized Harry, and even though he still remembered, and he even remembered what he said about Hagrid, yet he still is trying to act like that was the good thing to say. That just proves how egotistical he is. And that was the first, yeah. It's so hilarious. He was so egotistical. I can't believe he really thought that all that was really going to get Harry to be his friend. Now, in an alternate timeline, maybe that would have. But considering everything, I really can't believe that he really thought that was cool. I can't believe he really thought that was going to happen. All I got to say, you guys, is I hope you enjoyed me reading chapter 6. It's just, I couldn't just read it silently and tell you everything about it. No, I had to read the whole thing because it's just, I had to read the whole thing to y'all and explain everything I like about it. And to be honest, every part of it I liked, and I cannot wait to see it filmed for the TV series. It's going to be so much fun. It's just too bad it's not coming more early, but just you wait, guys. Once 2026 comes, it's literally only going to be a year away, and then we're all going to be so giddy with anticipation. Plus, there's so many other news that we still have for the Harry Potter TV series. Can't wait for more. And like I said, October 29th, I will give y'all my reaction to Hazbin Hotel. Episode 1 and 2. You know how it went last time. And it still seems like we're still going to have 8 episodes like season 1. So I hope y'all were all ready. And yes, I did watch the trailer. Guys, let me tell y'all something about me right now. You will never see me do a reaction to the trailer. No. Unless it's an old trailer, you will never see me do a reaction to a trailer. No. You will only see me do a reaction to a pilot, to a movie, to the series. That is all y'all will ever see. I doubt Hazbin Hotel or Hell of a Boss will ever have a movie. But that would be funny if they did, because that would really be fun. I don't know what the heck the movie would be about, but it still would be fun though. Anyway, guys, that is my read of Harry Potter chapter 6. Well, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone chapter 6. And I hope y'all enjoyed it. Goodbye.